And we're live. What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Tucker and the Beard are back again with another movie review.
Indeed.
You do something different with your hair today?
Yeah, just trying to new product.
Cool. Yeah. Looks good. So we went today and saw the movie Mortal Engines, the new Peter Jackson epic.
Epic it was.
And I'll just jump right out and say it. It's not rated very highly right now by critics, but we're not critics.
No, and
we're just people.
I could see why critics may frown upon it.
Yeah, and the big thing, it had I looked this morning and there was a 28% Rotten Tomatoes score.
That seems about right,
which is pretty low.
If you're a critic,
but the audience score was sitting right up at it was like 58%. So it was just this side of a fresh rating on the audience score.
Right.
And I agree more with that. This movie was entertaining. It was beautifully made. It was beautifully shot.
Yeah. That was kind of my take on it as well. Visually, it was spectacular. And for that reason alone, I say see it in the theater.
For sure. We're just jumping right to the rating, huh?
What?
We're just jumping right to the rating?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
All right.
If you're going to see...
If you're going to see it, I would see it in the theater. Yeah.
I say see it in the theater. That's all. I just feel like
I know a guy who's got
as well
at home.
At home. Unless...
I know a guy who's got a theater in his house.
That guy.
And it's... it might do okay there. But for your
Tolerable.
normal home viewing... the theater is definitely the place for this. And I'll admit that one of the reasons that I enjoyed this film as much as I did was because it really spoke to my dark little anarchist's heart.
Right.
The story behind it, as it's going through. As I've noticed in films recently, and maybe this has always happened and now I'm just picking up on it, I see a lot of social commentary going on.
Mm-hmm.
There was anti-colonialism. There was so many. There were just underground movements.
Yeah.
There were all these things that you're definitely seeing. This it was a caricature of what you're seeing in the news right now.
Yeah, it was very. We kind of had a little discussion about this after the film that this was. If you got the writers for Star Wars, Fast and the Furious, Waterworld, all in the room together and got them drunk and said, write a script.
Yeah.
That's what this movie
This would have come out to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and then, of course, Peter Jackson. There was just that little hint.
And then they gave that script.
There was a little sprinkle of Lord of the Rings in there.
Oh, true.
There's a lot of...
I think that probably had to do with the main antagonist, which is from pretty much every Peter Jackson movie.
Yeah. And, the fact of the matter is the second act of the movie involved a whole lot of walking.
Very true.
So, it's just... But it was a fun movie, and, it centers around... It's a post-apocalyptic setting.
Yeah.
And
it's Waterworld on land.
It's Waterworld with tank cities instead of boat cities, really. There's these massive cities and sometimes small towns that are just
on
for a reason that was I will admit was not clearly explained.
Yeah.
Other than we blew ourselves up and we broke the earth.
We annihilated everything.
Well, they said something about the Earth's crust being shattered at one point, and I'm like,
well, but that
would have been a cool shot to make. Why didn't a montage even would have been great?
Showing a little flashback, showing all of the cooling,
the plates
geological formations moving together and getting this giant landmass. And apparently we went back to Pangea.
Yeah, we blew the Earth up and made it Pangea again.
Yeah, and it was really pretty. It was
beautifully designed. I mean, the CGI was good.
Oh, I would say better than good.
Yeah,
It
and I
was
don't mean that.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was great CGI.
Fantastic.
There was I'm trying to remember a specific point where I was like, really? They did that? Maybe toward the end, there was one spot where I was like, did we need the lightning bolts? We'll get into it, but
Yeah.
I was going, that's a little much. It was definitely there was a spot, there was really a throwback to like an old Frankenstein movie.
But the lightning bolts, if you think about it, because the whole thing was kind of like had that steampunk feel to it.
Yeah.
And so the lightning and the kind of lent itself to that world of Tesla and mystery and lightning bolt.
Yeah.
It
well,
kind
essentially
of
whatever
felt
war
like
we
that.
went and waged that destroyed the Earth's crust.
Made these super weapons.
Whatever it did, it set back like a lot of technology back like 200 years, but
Not
not the ability to build
build
a city on a
massive
tank.
cities that can just run over whatever they want.
Not just run over whatever they want, but scoop them up.
Well, no, what was it? What they call it?
Didn't they just say
Was it absorb?
consume?
Consume.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Just like
Begin the consumption. That's what he said.
begin the consumption process. The evil general who turns out to be the not so like the second most evil general
Right.
in the movie by the time it's going on. So we've got these cities, and there are some cities that are really big, and they call them predator cities. Mm-hmm. And the one that was portrayed was London.
Yeah.
And it's just driving around the countryside. And again, this is where some of the social commentary I think came into play. Just looking for any way necessary, or any way possible, I should say, to obtain fuel.
Right.
It seems. So the general kept talking about how we're going to starve, we're going to die. But no one looked like they were having a bad time.
No, everybody was.
So
You still had the class systems. And,
definitely a class
and
warfare going on.
But if you think about it, like in any post-apocalyptic world, that kind of becomes the major concern: is how do we keep these things going?
Yeah.
And and I think that's one of those things that always kills me about like watching those kinds of shows is instead of rebuilding the technology to process and refine fuels again, we just go scavenging for the old stuff that wouldn't be good anyways, because if you know anything about gasoline or any type of fuel, it has a shelf life.
Well, they had made some sort of advances in fueling technology because they were literally consuming these other small towns and burning them as fuel, regardless of what material.
I thought that was interesting as well. Like they had these giant rams is all we got to see. They rammed the materials into whatever type of engine was driving this thing, and it was like
it reminded me of
burning metal and everything.
Have you ever watched those videos on YouTube where they're just putting stuff into industrial shredders?
Yeah, they had one of those.
It reminded me of that.
Yeah,
It's
they had one of those.
was.
Remember when they were running away, and that thing was just it was literally the same teeth and everything that was just gobbling up that city.
Yeah,
into the other city.
It's like Peter Jackson was like, "I see what you did there.
Yeah,
hold my drink.
Supersize.
I'm gonna one up you.
Supersize that. I see what you did there, America.
You did a roll of duct tape. I'm gonna do the city of Paris,
right?
But that's how we meet our main protagonist.
Yeah,
a young lady named Hester, who we don't understand her very well at the beginning of the movie. We just know that she's super on a mission. She's on a mission to find this one guy.
Yeah. She's got a lot of
hate in her heart.
Yeah.
She does.
I mean, but if you got a big
the dude killed her mom and cut her face. That's what we find out.
Be a little upset.
Yeah.
You might carry that around with you for a bit.
Yeah, it's not something you can just, forget about.
Yeah. Any mom burn, gets killed. And
It was not cool. I mean,
it wasn't cool.
Yeah,
That was probably the most developed part of the developed
Absolutely.
story we got in the whole
yeah.
thing.
And that was, I mean, if there's a real complaint about the movie is there was too many different story arcs happening at one time.
And
not enough plot
real
development.
resolution for
Yeah.
any of them.
Not enough backstory. I would have loved to have watched even a 2-minute flashback of how we got here.
Right. I agree.
That would have been awesome. But what we got was 15 seconds at the beginning of the movie. It wasn't even like words on screen. It was just, this happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because it started.
Action.
It started literally with the Universal logo going over the Earth while it was being blown up.
Yeah.
That was all. That
That
was
was
what
it.
we got.
That's all we got. We don't know what caused it. We don't know really anything other than it happened.
Yeah.
And that would have been a cool little backstory.
Sure. I would have liked to know more about these super weapons that can literally crack the Earth's crust.
Yeah.
Or shatter, as they put it.
Far more important, I think, than the backstory of how this young lady survived after her mother was killed.
Right. We got a little taste of that.
We did, but I mean, honestly, what we found out is she was raised by this weird cyborg dude. And I don't know if you noticed, but and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't checked the IMDb, but I could have swore that they used a different actor at the end of the movie than they did at the
in the
beginning.
beginning.
And I really cannot stand it when a show tries to
Just-
replace an actor and then thinks
Right.
we're not going to notice it.
Right. Like Becky,
Yeah.
Roseanne. Yeah, absolutely. It is really annoying.
Silly. So, but she's on this quest for vengeance. She almost gets it. Mm-hmm. Almost takes the guy out. The movie could have been over in 15 minutes. And, of course, she fails. Epic adventure ensues.
I thought and this was a small thing in the movie for me, but I loved that when they begin on the foot part of their journey.
When they're walking,
And they're
to Mordor.
walking when they're walking in the tank tracks. Mm-hmm. I was like, that is really cool because they're literally like walking over having to climb over the spaces and the treads left. And
I mean, and these things are leaving, 30, 40 foot deep gouges in the earth
I was
as
like,
they're traveling
that
from
was
place to
really
place.
cool. And it was interesting when you got that top down view and the land is just littered with all of these massive tracks on it. It was, I don't know. I was kind of geeking out a little bit on
No,
that.
it was
that
super
pretty
cool. It was really cool. I thought, again, visually, Peter
Fantastic.
Jackson really never ceases to satisfy when it comes to that.
No,
He does a great job.
I was there's another movie, and it wasn't a Peter Jackson movie, but similar, like as far as just visually, it was just like freaking your brain was like eating it up like crack. Do you remember Speed Racer
Yeah.
with what's his name?
I
Anyways,
should say I barely remember.
it was
I saw
it was
once and
like
it was-
that, just visually,
it
just
was.
fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch, and that's how I felt in this movie. I enjoyed
Well,
just watching it. I could
even
care
the be-
less, even though the acting was like meh.
Yeah, it was okay acting, brilliant cinematography.
It's fantastic.
And really, so even at the very beginning of the movie, it opens with essentially a chase scene between London and this other small town. And immediately I'm brought to, this reminded me of the opening scene from the first Fast and the Furious.
Oh, right.
Right? Toretto and his gang are chasing down that
The
semi-truck.
semi-truck, yeah.
And just I was just
And they were
as
literally
engaged and exciting.
shooting like harpoons.
They did, and they
into
did this
the
in-
city.
yeah, it was
dragging it or slowing it down.
perfect.
Yeah.
It was so perfect, and yet I still found myself going, "Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good."
Yeah.
And then just all the tight like internal technical shots. Like when they hit the nitrous oxide for the first time in the Fast and the Furious, where
Right.
you see it goes from inside the bottle and all the into the tank, and then
And you had
into
those
the-
shots where they went like down through the gears.
through the gears and
yeah,
all that. There was
yep.
a lot of that. I love that stuff. I'm
Oh,
a
I do
sucker
too.
for it.
I
So
do too.
visually,
Because I will
again-
catch myself like looking at everything in that scene,
Yeah,
trying
just
to
going,
see
"This is
all
so
the little
awesome."
details. Because I'm like, dude, somebody coded that.
Yeah.
That hydraulic ram that you're never even going to pay attention to. Somebody coded that and made it look spot
amazing.
on.
Yeah, and as somebody who does a lot of movie editing or film editing at a very low level.
I was
in
about to say,
comparison. I'm not
are you-
comparing myself to these people at all. But even the small things that I'm able to do that are challenging for me,
Right.
and go, no,
Yeah,
there's
and-
no way I could ever make that happen.
No.
Like I get happy when I can put cool words in cool ways on the screen.
Right.
Like I'm like, check
I
out
made
this
that
new way that
text
I did
scroll.
this. Yeah, look how I did it. And so that is just super intriguing to me, knowing even just the smallest amount of what goes into that. I'm just like blown away.
And it wasn't just well done. It was really beautiful to watch.
It was gorgeous.
And it was literally everything but I can only imagine that they did that and they acted that entire movie in front of a green screen. There was nothing real about it.
This was on a
at all.
sound stage with a green screen the entire time.
Yeah.
And so you have to give the entire cast a whole lot of credit for that, because they didn't have probably a lot to work with.
No.
From a
Physically,
a
there
physical
was-
standpoint, they didn't
no.
have a ton to go on. I'll say this: if you liked Star Wars, especially the end of A New Hope, you're gonna love this movie,
Scene for scene.
because it's almost a shot-for-shot remake, but just with different characters and better graphics.
Right.
There's even one scene where the other protagonist, a young man who originally wants to hunt down our main protagonist Hester, and he's trying to catch her because
Right.
he thinks she's a criminal,
Right.
and then she finds out that she's really the freedom fighter. That scene, he flies in this dragon looking airplane thing, and he fires a single shot into the exhaust port of the giant city of London.
Drives through the narrow opening.
Yeah, I was like, did they just overlaid that shot from Star Wars?
You could probably do a side by side.
I might do that. I might try
would
and
be
find the footage
hilarious.
and see if I can line those shots up, because it was I mean, there was a I'm your father moment.
Yeah.
It was a shot for shot remake of the end of Star Wars.
when
A New
the
Hope.
chick when the antagonist, the main bad guy, is fighting with the Neo like character who was
there
this
was
girl.
an Asian female Neo and a dreadlocked Morpheus.
Yep.
So I mean, it's obvious that whoever was writing
Forgot to put the movie the guys from the Matrix in that room with
Yeah.
everybody, because they were totally there too.
They absolutely were. There was Agent Smith was everywhere. So can I see why critics weren't in love with this movie?
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
critics don't like anything.
Yeah. That's why they're critics.
Exactly.
We're real people.
Yeah.
Just giving you our opinion on the film.
We're not critiquing.
We're just giving you the straight dope.
Yeah. This is what we thought.
I enjoyed it.
I
And-
happen to
and
like
again,
movies. I'm like the guy in Ratatouille, the food critic.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't enjoy food. I love it. Or I don't. What did he say? I don't enjoy food. I love it, or something like
Something.
that.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I don't know. But anyways, he and
Almost
then he
another
comes
time.
back to his roots.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a second. There's more to this.
Yes.
And then he starts enjoying food again.
Yeah, and this, honestly, doing these reviews for the last few months, it's really changed my perspective on a lot of things too.
I have to say that I agree with that.
It's fun to go to the movies, and it's fun to get lost in a different world, and just again the social overtones in this film were at sometimes a little overbearing. It was a heavy emphasis on like the evils of capitalism,
Yeah.
as there seems to be.
It's kind of a theme nowadays.
Which is odd because filmmaking requires capital,
right?
and you really can't have a movie industry without capitalism. And so that's just the long and the short of it. But at the same, I've mentioned it a time or two, and I'm not going to dive into it. But I'm a super libertarian, and I'm almost like I'm like 3 degrees of libertarian short of being an anarchist. So like I found myself identifying with the main protagonist really quickly,
Right.
and with the resistance force that they had, because it was just fun for me, So I connected with some of the characters pretty easily, and there was a little bit of something in there for everyone.
Yeah.
There was even a giant wall.
And oddly enough, it was the Chinese that built it.
Yes, it was. It was.
They were like, "Hey, this worked once before.
Let's try
give
it
it another
again."
shot.
Well, they did a better job of it. They spanned the wall between 2 mountains, which makes it a whole lot more difficult.
Much more easier to defend.
for the evil colonialists to
And topped it
to
with extremely large guns,
big guns.
really big guns.
But I mean, I think steampunk is fun.
I
enjoy
do too.
that.
I enjoy it.
I like anarchist overtones.
Yeah.
It was a visually beautiful movie.
Who doesn't find themselves wishing for the end of the world at some point? I mean, come on.
Well, and post-apocalyptic movies are some of my favorite.
Yeah, like zombie. I
Zombie
long
movies.
for the day when we could have zombies. I'm sorry.
I'm ready.
I know that I would be one of those guys that just takes over, starts running stuff.
Yeah, I've got the equipment necessary.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Right. And I've got the know-how, and I've got the
charisma.
My previous life in law enforcement trained me very well to be prepared for situations like that. So,
and I've always been in leadership positions,
right.
So I'm just well suited for it. People on a regular basis ask me like, "When are you running for office?" And be like, "I don't." I refer back.
Are there zombies yet?
Are there zombies yet? No. I refer back to the line in The Dark Knight. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the enemy, and I don't want to be either of those.
True.
So, no office for me.
No.
No.
Come on, Beard.
It wouldn't be fair.
To the competition.
Just wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, a fun trip to the movies.
Yeah. Out of all the ones that we've done,
this is actually up there.
This is a top one. It was fun. I have to say, I was ready for it to be
terrible.
A steaming pile of garbage.
Yeah, as was I.
And I was pleasantly surprised. I would actually, if my kids wanted to go see it, I would have no problem.
Yeah, if my kids
them.
asked me to go see it, I would probably be all right with that.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna like drag them to it.
No.
You have to see this.
No.
But yeah, if they wanted to go check it out, I'd let them check it out.
It would be
it was good
interesting to see how much this cost to make. I'm sure it's a lot.
It's
a lot.
It's got to be in the hundreds of millions.
I can't, and as much as I hate to say this, I can't see them turning a profit.
They're not. They're not even going to break even on this one. It has not been performing well at the box office.
Very expensive to
I gotta say, this one's got to be a $150 million plus production.
Yeah, and I would absolutely. I'd say
you should Siri that right now. We should find out what was the budget on Mortal Engines.
Google.
We should figure that out because there's no way it's making its money back.
Mortal Engines cost,
and I don't even know why. It's
$100 million.
$100 million. So I was a paltry $50 million off, but still, that's an insanely expensive movie to
not be like a epic.
And it should have been a blockbuster. Again,
Yeah.
we reviewed a movie a couple weeks ago that I genuinely believe had it been released at a different time of year, it would have done better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the case with this. This one really did have like late summer blockbuster written all over it. This is not a May or June, but like a mid-August release would have been perfect for this.
Yeah, and because you're in that little gap.
You're in that
where
window
trying
where
to fill,
there's
and
nothing
people
good
are
that
looking
comes
for a
out.
good movie to watch.
Yeah,
This
they're
is
still
not
riding
a Christmas movie. This
Yeah,
should
they're
not
still
have been
riding on all
season for
the
sure.
huge blockbusters. You know, the 3 Marvel movies that'll come out over a summer,
And I think
and they're anxious for something that's good and not a comic book movie.
for some reason, though, if you look at the Hobbit series and the or Lord of the Rings series, they all came out this time of year too. And I almost wonder if they were banking on, like, for some weird reason,
Just the fact that people will just go see a Peter Jackson movie because it's early winter.
But this is not a storyline that everybody's
Yeah, this is not a
with.
beloved tale
No.
from long ago.
No. I honestly can't say that I've ever heard of the book.
It was a book.
There you go.
That says it all. That says it all. So, but yeah, I think a solid, if you're looking for something that's not like a family comedy that seems to be about what you're left with this time of year,
Yeah.
this is a great alternative for you.
Yeah, I would say see it. I'd say, yeah, if you're just looking for something just kind of no thought process involved, just go and enjoy a good flick. This is worth going and seeing.
Yeah, and I think it's better than a lot of the drivel that's out there right now.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I was happy with it.
At this point, you know, I mean, the big, you know, Creed 2 has been out for a couple of weeks already. So chances are, if you were gonna see it, you've seen it.
Probably seen it.
You know, and if you're looking to go back to the movie, I honestly think that if you don't want to go see a holiday related movie, I know a lot of people go to the theater on Christmas Day. This would be a great one to take the crew to and just zone out, you know, with when you're in your post gift wrap coma.
Yeah.
You know, and just absorb the visuals of it. It's really fun in that aspect.
If you have the option to see it in 3D, I think this
It probably
would
would have been better in 3D. So
3D.
3D movies, because I have astigmatism,
Oh yeah.
they don't really work for me.
Sure.
But I'm sure for people that it does work for, it would have been fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Or if you're traveling and you're near an IMAX theater that has this option available, it probably would be amazing in IMAX. Like the large format theater is perfect for this because it's that beautiful. It really is.
They spared no expense on the graphics.
No.
It was if anything, they were like, hey guys, we're gonna take 90 million of this and put it into the making the movie, and then the other 10 million we'll give that to the actors.
Yeah. That's kind of what it seems like happened. The acting wasn't bad.
No, but I think
But it wasn't Lord of the Rings.
No, but in
fact, it wasn't even King Kong.
You got to hand it to Peter Jackson on this one. It seems as though he kind of reached out and brought in some new talent that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, I was not familiar with any of the characters.
The only person that you knew was the main bad guy, and that's because
You don't even know him that well.
I don't know his name.
No, but you
he's
know
been
you've
in a
seen him in other
million-
things.
yeah.
He's
He's
one of
been
those
in-
people who you know you've seen him before, but you can't spit out his name.
No, I can't. I don't
So
know.
I mean, the cast was under, you know, it was pretty low key, and they did a good job.
They did.
Was it great? No.
But it was good.
But it was good. It does not deserve the bad rap that it's getting from the critics. So, you know, sometimes the critics get it right. And you know, especially we look at Rotten Tomatoes a lot because it does give you the two perspectives, you know, versus sites like Metascore and just all of the other review pages. You know, they're really just giving you information from a critic's point of view. That's what I like about Rotten Tomatoes. You get an audience rating and a critic rating.
Right.
This one, I believe, really does lean much more in favor of the audience score.
Sure.
I think I'd give it if it were me, I'd give it at least a 65, if not closer to a 70. It's a C minus.
Yeah.
It's a C minus for me.
I agree with that.
And mostly because, you know, had they brought in
was
a
just
whole
a
different
story
set of
development.
actors, and they would have developed the story.
I
a
think
little bit
story
better.
development
Had it had a
probably-
huge cast, this would have been a certified blockbuster.
Yeah, if they would have have invested a little bit more in maybe some just a little higher caliber
Well, again, that
acting.
storyline with
and
the
then the
little girl and how
story.
she was brought up, it was mostly unnecessary. It didn't do anything for the story.
Really, it didn't add or take away. Really,
Yeah.
But and
I would
told
have
you
rather
this.
have seen what happened to the Earth first. Like we mentioned earlier.
Right. I when you get to that part in the movie though, for some weird reason, I felt a little something in the feels on that. I don't know why.
Did your
When
heart grow two
when
sizes that day,
The
Tucker?
cyborg guy was like, passing away, and he was, all of these memories were coming back, and I was like, man,
Tucker's heart grew 2 sizes that day.
you can't, you just can't take the humanity out of even a cyborg. It's humanity wins. I feel like that's the moral of this tale, is that humanity wins. If we can all figure out a way to come together, just like at the end when everybody is kind of coming up the mountain and they're being received by
the society that had built that wall to keep these
crazy
people in their giant 90-wheel drive tank cities out of their pristine land.
Yeah.
Yet once the city and really the people who were in charge of the city, because government ruins everything.
It's true. You even had the crazy.
But they still welcomed them with open arms.
Yeah, it was. At first it was kind of like they gave him the old,
But then they're
stare
they're
down. Oh,
come here.
come on!
They gave
bring
him
it
that
into Hug
kinda-
Harbor.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought it was a good way to end it.
Yeah, I liked it.
It just needed it. There was.
It could have.
I think you could have even overcome
This
the
is-
acting with just a bit more story development.
This is one of the very few times you will ever hear me say the following phrase. This movie was a touch over 2 hours, and it would have been better if it was 2.5.
Yeah, it could have.
If we had another 20 minutes,
you could have brought everything together.
then they could have done that development in just. I mean, it's just
Easily.
20 minutes
Easily.
and it actually would have made it a better film. And because of how beautiful it was, I would have sat no problem for 2.5 hours during that one. No problem.
And it's a
whatsoever.
Peter Jackson movie. You're expecting it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it comes in under. I was surprised when we were looking up the show times. I was like, oh, it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was expecting.
I was expecting a
close to 3.
3-hour job,
Yeah.
have to sit down and cut out 3 hours out of my Tuesday. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, the long and the short of it, I think you should go see it.
I
there
would
I
agree
said
with
it.
that.
I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. I'm glad I saw it in the theater versus trying to Redbox it or stream it when it hits Netflix eventually. Yeah.
Check it out. I
Go see
would
the-
say
go
check
see
it
the
out in
movie.
the theater if you can. I mean, it's even if we paid $5,
Yeah.
it was absolutely worth $5. And
I wouldn't have felt any different about it had we paid full price.
no, and that's what I'm saying. I
The-
agree with you
The
wholeheartedly.
local theater here does a deal on Tuesdays. Oh, I wonder if they're going to do $5 Tuesday on Christmas Day. I should reach out. I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Well-
But yeah, I think this one was fun. Put it on your radar if you're planning on going to the movies on Christmas Day. I think it was a good.
It did not suck.
It did not suck. It does not deserve the 28% critic score that it has.
You're right. I mean, occasionally they get it right, but for the average
But this time, I don't
person-
think they did.
No, for
I
the
think I'm
average
siding with the
person-
audience on this one.
For the average person, most of the time, if you entertain me a little bit, if I've got the time, I'll sit and watch.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for some mindless escape, and this was that. This was
Very
a
much.
2 hour and 10-minute just sit there, and there was no thought
Yeah.
needed. You didn't have to
Turn
think
off my
to
phone.
follow
I turn
the
off my
storyline.
I
It was just
silence and
like-
darken my electronic devices.
Did you?
And then
Did you put your
zone
watch
out.
on theater
I
mode?
put my watch on theater mode.
Okay.
And put my phone on do not disturb, and I just enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
And it was great.
And I wasn't bored.
No, not at one point where I was I wondering, when is this thing going to be over?
Yeah.
Not at one point. And that says a lot.
Sure, it does.
In this attention span shortened lifestyle that we live. Where we try and consume all
People
of our
may be
content.
bored
in
already
5
listening to us talk.
They might be. Well, we've gone longer than 3.5 minutes, so I'm sure a lot of people have tuned out, and that's fine because that's the attention spans that we're working with. I get it.
We're trying to appeal to people who are not goldfish.
No, well, and honestly, I know we're live right now on the Prescott E News page, and that's why I premiere these videos on the Tucker and the Beard page during prime time.
Right.
Because especially this time of year, there ain't crap on TV.
Yeah, what else are you gonna watch?
Sit down and watch an episode of Tucker and the Beard. We put up a pretty great episode when we went out with our friend Dalen and did some four-wheeling up to Crown King last week. So we put that episode up yesterday in prime time, and
I had a headache after that. It was really weird. Like I inhaled some sort of chemical or something.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. We essentially got kidnapped and Dalen took us into the desert.
He's the worst.
But we made it a good day. Because really life's all about your attitude.
It's true. You got to make the best out of it.
Absolutely.
That, speaking of kind of a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, that girl, she definitely had a little bit of that.
She did.
Although the
that cyborg was a little abusive.
He was kind to her on as much of a level as he could be.
Yeah.
But then he got real creepy stalker after she wouldn't
accept her new fate as his cyborg child. And I think that's largely due to the fact that...
She didn't want to transcend.
Yeah, it's largely due to the fact that he should have just followed the Yellow Brick Road and found his way to Oz and gotten himself a heart.
True.
Because, that's what the Tin Man really needs. Anyway, that's it for us for today. We're going to take a couple of weeks off, mostly because we don't want to do podcasts on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So, with that being said, we'll see you in the new year. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your holiday season. And he's Tucker.
He's Beard.
We'll see you next time.